Welcome to our biology lessons with Dr. Hanaa. Our lesson today is about the human digestive system. Before starting the lesson, we have to make an experiment with each other. Each student takes a piece of bread and put it into the mouth and chew it well, and just wait for 2 minutes. So you have to think about two questions, which are, what happens and what do you feel? So what happens? We can find the large pieces converted into smaller in size. And what do you feel? You can feel a sweety taste. Let's make a journey inside your digestive system to know why these observations happened. The human digestive system divided into two parts. The first part called alimentary canal and associated glands. What is alimentary canal? Alimentary canal where the food passes, starting with the mouth. Okay, this is the place where the food passes through. And associated glands, for example, we have three pairs of salivary glands, liver and pancreas, that secrete juices. Starting with alimentary canal. Alimentary canal where food passes through, started by mouth, then esophagus, then stomach, small intestine, and finally with a large intestine. The second part, which is associated glands, and we call it also accessory organs. We have three associated glands. The first one called salivary glands. There are three pairs of salivary glands. The second one, which is liver, and liver secretes bile juice, and the third one, which is pancreas, that secrete pancreatic juice. All of these organs work together to break down food into small, simple water-soluble molecules to be easily absorbed and reach to bloodstream. Before starting the different organs of the digestive system, you have to know the different stages of digestion. What are the different stages of digestion? Starting with ingestion, then digestion and absorption, then assimilation, and the last one, which is digestion or elimination. Let's explain all of these stages in details. The first stage is ingestion. What is ingestion? Ingestion is when the food is taken into the body. One of the very important questions said, where does ingestion take place? Yes, in the mouth. The second stage is digestion. Digestion has two types. The first one called physical digestion, that done by three different forms. Chewing, done by teeth, churning, done by muscular wall, emulsification, done by bile juice. So what's meant by physical digestion is the breakdown large food pieces into smaller pieces, done by three different forms: chewing, churning, and emulsification. The second type of digestion is chemical digestion. What's meant by chemical digestion? Chemical digestion is the breaking down the complex food into small, simple molecules. This done by enzymes. So we have the first stage, which is ingestion, that takes place inside the mouth. The second stage called digestion, that physical digestion, that break down the large pieces into smaller pieces that increase the surface area, done by three different forms: chewing, churning, and emulsification. Chewing done by teeth, churning done by muscular wall, and emulsification done by bile juice. The second type of digestion, called the chemical digestion, that done by enzymes. When the food is completely digested physically and chemically, now the food is divided into two parts: digested food and undigested food. The digested food is able to cross the cell membrane, leading to the third stage of digestion, which is absorption. What's meant by absorption? It is the movement of the small nutrients or the digested food from the small intestine to the blood. When these simple nutrients reach the bloodstream, they have the ability to be a part of the cell. They reach, which is called assimilation. What's meant by assimilation, which is very, very important question, when the nutrients become a part of the cell. And what about undigested food? Undigested food get it outside the body through a stage called digestion or elimination. So what's meant by digestion or elimination? It is the removal of undigested food from the body as feces through the anus. Let's start with the first organ of the digestive system, which is mouth. Inside the mouth, there is ingestion, as we said it, so the food enters the mouth. And then we have a kind of digestion, which is physical digestion, as we said, chewing the food done by your teeth. That breaks down large food pieces into smaller pieces. If you concentrate well in the video, we can find three pairs of salivary glands. Salivary gland secretes watery liquid called saliva and poured inside your mouth. Salivary glands secrete saliva that contains enzyme called salivary amylase. This amylase breaks down starch into a kind of sugar called maltose, so that we feel a sweety taste after chewing a piece of bread. After chewing the food and mix it with saliva, so the food now in the form of a ball. So we call it bolus. When we swallow the food, it goes to esophagus. So what is esophagus? Esophagus is a long, narrow muscular tube that contracts and relaxes to push this bolus to the stomach. The contraction and relaxation of the muscular wall of esophagus called peristalsis. Again, so what is a peristalsis? It is the contraction and relaxation of the muscular wall of esophagus to push the bolus down reach to the stomach. What about the stomach? The stomach is a hollow muscular organ that can be stretched or expanded. Inside the stomach, there is physical digestion, as we said before, the word of churning the food. What's a churning? So the converting or changing the large pieces into smaller in size that increase the surface area. So where does physical digestion takes place till now? So we have two places. The first one inside your mouth, this done by the action of your teeth, and the second place is inside the stomach, that done by the muscular wall of the stomach that makes churning. Also inside the stomach there is chemical digestion, and we said the chemical digestion done by enzymes. Stomach secrete gastric juice. Gastric juice contains enzyme called protease, or we can call it pepsin. It's pepsin enzyme that breaks down protein into polypeptide. Again, so stomach wall secrete gastric juice. Gastric juice contains enzyme called the protease, or we call it pepsin, as the pepsin is one of the proteases that breaks down protein into polypeptide. So till now, how many places where physical digestion takes place? So yes, we have inside your mouth, chewing the food, and inside the stomach there is a churning of food. And what about the chemical digestion? Yes, we have two places also inside your mouth, as salivary glands secrete saliva that contain amylase that converts starch into maltose sugar, and inside the stomach, there is a protease that converts a protein into polypeptide. What happens in the stomach? The stomach wall secretes hydrochloric acid. What is the importance of hydrochloric acid? It's very, very important. Firstly, kill germs and microbes and keep the medium of the stomach acidic for the enzyme to work best. And who can remember what is the name of enzyme in the stomach? We know this is one of the proteases called pepsin enzyme. So, pepsin enzyme need a specific pH or acidic medium to work to break down protein into polypeptide. So what happens if this medium changes? If the medium is not acidic, so the enzyme cannot able to work. So what is the importance of hydrochloric acid? So kill germs and microbes and keep the medium of the stomach acidic for the enzyme to work best. Now the food is partially digested to become liquefied, forming a chyme. So we know that it was a bolus and now become a chyme after the reaction with hydrochloric acid and gastric juice, forming a chyme. Now the food enters the first part of the small intestine, which is duodenum. Duodenum connects the stomach to the rest of the small intestine. So this is stomach and the rest part of the small intestine. Duodenum connects between them. Duodenum is connected with liver and pancreas. Liver secretes bile juice and poured in the first part of the small intestine, which is duodenum, and also pancreas secretes pancreatic juice and poured in the first part of the small intestine, which is duodenum. Liver is the largest organ in the body. Liver secretes bile juice that's stored in gallbladder and poured in the first part of the small intestine, which is duodenum. Again, what is the importance of liver? So liver secretes bile juice and stored in gallbladder and poured in the first part of the small intestine. And we said it before, it will make emulsification. What is emulsification? هي changing big fats into small droplets of fat that increase the surface area. And also bile juice neutralize the acidity of the stomach. We know that the stomach will secrete hydrochloric acid to keep the medium acidic for the enzyme to work best. But now all the next enzymes need to change the acidic medium to be alkaline. So we need something that neutralizes the acidity of the stomach, which is bile juice. So bile juice neutralizes the acidity of the stomach and keep the medium alkaline for the enzyme to work best. Thank you so much and see you soon in part 2 of the human digestive system. Thank you and goodbye.